Good evening, this is the Oscar expert here, and I'm going to give you a rundown of all my predictions in every category, except for the ones that are impossible to predict at this point. Starting off with Best Picture, we've got 1917 out front. This is the new frontrunner on my list. Why is this the new frontrunner? Well, it's just good logic, folks. I mean, let's break it down for you. This trailer comes out, confirms this one-take, massive cinematography feat, and we've got it winning cinematography. It's also going to win, like, Best Director. I mean, at this point, that's just like, how could it not win Best Director? And if it's a frontrunner for Best Director, it is the frontrunner for Best Picture, since we have nothing else that we can see. Although I can see this winning Best Director and not Best Picture very easily. And it's also probably going to win, sound editing, sound mixing, and Best Score all make perfect sense for this movie. Number 2 is Little Women. Christmas release date, big Oscar contender from Greta Gerwig. The Irishman is number 3. Just a huge Oscar juggernaut, Martin Scorsese at the helm. No reason to doubt these two movies yet. Folks, we got Once Upon a Time in Hollywood at number 4, looking like a lock. Even though there are some mixed responses on the movie, it's still got those diehard Tarantino fans who are going to vote it in. A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood just looks like a big Oscar tearjerker. So does The Goldfinch, which is number 6. Queen and Slim is number 7. People doubt this movie. People say, oh, I don't know if it's getting in. Like, why wouldn't this movie get in? Why wouldn't this movie be a big contender? You have not presented this evidence to me yet, so I will keep it at number 7. This movie also, unfortunately, isn't showing up at the Toronto festivals, and I'm really not sure why. Maybe there's just no reason. Harriet is number 8 because it's Oscar bait. Marriage Story is number 9. I previously didn't have this movie on my list, but reading more things about it, seeing how almost everybody is putting this super high on their list, even having it in winning conversation, some folks, I'm going to have to cave in eventually, and I figure why not now? This is Noah Baumbach's latest, and it's going to be his most ambitious project yet. There's a good article that confirms this, so it could be the one for him to break him into the Oscar race. Noah Baumbach could be competing with Greta Gerwig at the Oscars, and hopefully won't turn into a real-life version of Baumbach's movie. 10 is The Farewell. Ended up having to take this one off the top 9. There's never going to be a 10th slot, folks. But The Farewell is doing really well for expectations at the box office. It's not going to end up making over even 15 million, which is just not that much. I don't know if this movie's exposure is that big. And there are a lot of people who, maybe like myself, came out of the movie thinking it was a little slow, but it also has so much love for it. I'm really torn on if it's going to get in that Oscar race. And same with Endgame, another movie that I wanted to say is in my top 10, but I think these other contenders are looking strong. Really don't know what's going to happen with that movie. Fair and Balanced, the Roger Ailes movie, is number 12. Ford v Ferrari, Personal History of David Copperfield. Just Mercy has entered the list. That's Daniel Justin Critten's new movie with Jamie Foxx and Michael B. Jordan that is making rounds at the festival circuits. Could be an emotionally driven, powerful story. We got The Lighthouse, which I think is going to remain in the conversation throughout the whole year because it's just going to have that really huge fan base. The critic circles are obviously going to nominate this movie so much it's going to be like First Reformed, but it might not make the lineup at the end of the day. It's always going to be in that conversation though, so you got to keep it pretty high. The Report, Jojo Rabbit is 18. For most people, it's considered a top 10, but I am skeptical. I do not see why this visual Moonrise Kingdom ripoff is being considered there. That's maybe a little harsh, but come on. It looks like Moonrise Kingdom. I know people are excited about Taika Waititi's career, but I just don't know that this is an Oscar movie. We got The Laundromat, and then we have Parasite at 20, which is a foreign film, probably the most likely foreign film to make it into major categories this year, is just beloved. Already came out in Korea, and it's going to be one to see, one you don't want to miss. Great reviews across the board and a crowd-pleasing hit, which is why it could break into the Oscar race. Best Director, Sam Mendes, 1917, is gonna win. I don't even feel weird saying that at this point. He's gonna win Best Director. It's just how this is gonna go. Greta Gerwig, Little Women, John Crowley, The Goldfinch. It's just something I see happening. I just think The Goldfinch might be an inevitable Oscar movie. Scorsese for The Irishman, because it's Scorsese. At number 5, I actually have Melina Matsoukas for Queen and Slim because that movie just looks so stylized and original that I think that they could award that in the director category. I actually have it above Tarantino. I don't know if I want to have Tarantino off the top 5, but I think that he is not quite in there because there's a lot of mixed responses on the movie. Despite Tarantino being a big name, he still could get snubbed. Robert Eggers for The Lighthouse is 7. I actually think he has a very good shot of making it into the best director race, because this movie just looks like it's a freaking director's movie, folks, okay? He could jump in there. He could Paul Thomas Anderson in Phantom Thread it. He could Powell Pawlikowski in Cold War it. He could Bennett Miller in Foxcatcher it. I could see him getting director even if it doesn't get picture. 8 is Noah Baumbach for Marriage Story. 9, Mariel Heller for A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. 10, Cassie Lemons for Harriet. Some people think this would be higher, but I don't see this movie as having like a masterful style, really. Just being competent Oscar bait. 11 is Bong Joon-ho for Parasite. Best Actor, it's hard to find a frontrunner here, but I suppose Robert De Niro could win for The Irishman. If he's really great, I don't think people would be opposed to giving him another Oscar. DiCaprio's just a lock. Banderas and Pain and Glory just feels like he's happening. The competition here is really fierce, but I still think that he could make it anyway, because he is the competition. Tom Hanks, Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood for playing Mr. Rogers. This could be his first nomination in many years. It just looks like it's going to be hard for him not to capture your heart in this movie. Daniel Kaluuya is number 5 for Queen and Slim. At 6, we got Adam Driver in Marriage Story / The Report, but it's probably going to be Marriage Story at this point. He's the protagonist of this movie, and if this movie's a huge contender, I could easily see him getting in. I just didn't want to take off anybody else in that top 5, but it's really hard. This is a competitive actor race. We have Joaquin Phoenix just outside for Joker. He's going to be fantastic in this movie. Everyone's going to want him to get nominated. He could get snubbed nonetheless. His hype is going to be really strong, especially with those fall festival circuits for Joker. Taron Egerton for Rocketman. Had to take him off here because I think this competition might be too fierce for him. I didn't know if this was going to happen, but he might not be getting in after all. Eddie Murphy, Dolomite Is My Name, Willem Dafoe in The Lighthouse. This could be Robert Pattinson in this category, but if it was Pattinson, I wouldn't have him on the list. I think Dafoe is the only actor who has a chance from that movie getting nominated, really. Michael B. Jordan for Just Mercy, and finally Dev Patel for Personal History of David Copperfield. Actress. Alfre Woodard is my number 1, but she's really competing with Cynthia Erivo for the win, it would seem. Scarlett Johansson could maybe compete for a win for Marriage Story. I heard that she's going to have this, 5-minute take where the camera's just filming her, and she's just obviously just going to be doing some great acting. She's never been nominated. Isn't that tragic? She's going to get a nomination for this movie, probably. Saoirse Ronan in Little Women. Winona Ryder was nominated for lead actress for this movie in 1994. Saoirse Ronan will probably get nominated because she's a fucking great actress. We have Awkwafina in The Farewell, who gives a very subtle, quiet performance, but I think that the Academy still might want to nominate her, maybe even if the movie doesn't get in. Renee Zellweger in Judy. She's begging for an Oscar, folks, and maybe she's begging too hard and the movie's just not that good, but this is bait. She's crying, she's a wet face in the whole movie, she just wants that Oscar. Charlize Theron in Fair and Balanced. Maybe that movie would be a little more ensemble and maybe the lead actress won't make as much sense for her, but we will have to see. Jodie Turner-Smith for Queen and Slim. Meryl Streep for The Laundromat. And Kate Winslet for Blackbird. Supporting actor Brad Pitt is looking like a big frontrunner here for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. His performance was just so much fun, and I don't think that anybody would object to giving him an Oscar. Now at 2 and 3, we have Al Pacino and Joe Pesci for The Irishman, because I do think that they could double team in this movie. Al Pacino seems probably a little more likely. We got Matthew Rhys in A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. I just think that he is going to be the actual lead in this movie, and if he's campaigning and supporting, he's probably going to be amazing. Marielle Heller's last film had just such great performances. I see this being also a great performance and probably worthy of a nomination. Jeffrey Wright in The Goldfinch is number 5. In the trailer, he's doing a whole I'm just a sad old man. Let me tell you about the story of the Goldfinch, or whatever he's doing there. It's going to get him nominated, maybe. Jamie Foxx in Just Mercy is playing a person on death row. Leslie Odom Jr. for Harriet. Didn't see him doing much in the trailer, but there's hype there for his performance. Taika Waititi for Jojo Rabbit. I think that this nomination makes sense if the movie is a contender. Willem Dafoe, the last thing that he wanted. I see a lot of people saying that he's going to win for this movie, so I said, okay, let's go look up and see if there is evidence for why they think he's winning for this movie. His character is dying. That's all we really know. He's Anne Hathaway's father. But other than that, it's just because they think Willem Dafoe is overdue for an Oscar, so therefore he must win. Not a good enough reason, folks. They're not just going to give him an Oscar unless it's a really, really good performance. And I don't even see reason to believe that this movie is a huge contender. So I just can't put him up there. I'm so sorry. Christian Bale, Ford v Ferrari. Wesley Snipes, Dolomite Is My Name. Robert Pattinson in The Lighthouse, unless he's lead, we'll just have to see. Jonathan Majors, Last Black Man in San Francisco, he's going to get those critic awards, he's going to deserve them, and he's not going to get the Oscar nomination, and it will be sad. Supporting actress, Laura Dern for Marriage Story is out front. Laura Dern is overdue for an Oscar, folks, and this movie could give her an emotional, supporting performance that could win it for her. Annette Bening for The Report, also overdue for an Oscar, and could maybe win for this movie. This could be one of The Report's only nominations if it's only one, but Annette Bening still looks strong in this category. Zhao Shuzhen for The Farewell. After seeing the movie, I don't know why you wouldn't nominate the grandma in this movie. She was so good. Yes, she's a newcomer, but the Oscars still like newcomers, don't they? Look at Marina de Tavira for Roma. Look at Marina de Tavira. Nicole Kidman for The Goldfinch. It's just an Oscar bait Nicole Kidman performance, just like in Lion. 5 is Margot Robbie for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I'm not sure that she's going to get the nomination because there's so much controversy about like if she's in the movie enough, but she does do a lot with a little. However, she's also in Fair and Balanced this year, so what if that movie comes out and she's worthy of a nomination and then people go, forget it, we don't need to nominate her for Hollywood, we can nominate her for this movie. Tilda Swinton, Personal History of David Copperfield. She's got a supporting role in the movie, that's all I need to know to put her on there. Florence Pugh in Little Women. There are many women in Little Women, and if I'm going to make a prediction, maybe she is the second biggest character besides Saoirse Ronan. If you've read the book, try to back me up on this one. Octavia Spencer in Luce. This is really the only nomination that Luce looks like it's going for. The reason I have her outside is because the hype around this movie is like low. They've done not a great job of marketing it. I don't see it being a big breakout at the box office, and that's why I don't see Octavia Spencer making it to the Oscars. 9 is Janelle Monáe and Harriet. I don't see her doing anything Oscar nomination worthy, but I guess I can just put her on here at the end. Original screenplay, Queen and Slim, I have winning. This movie's gonna have a hell of a screenplay, and Lena Waithe could win an Oscar for it. 2 is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood because it's Tarantino. Nothing else needs to be said. 3 is Marriage Story. 4 is The Farewell. I think that movie can get in for original screenplay even if it doesn't get picture because it's just a screenplay movie. It has comedy in it. 5 is Parasite, the foreign film from Bong Joon-ho. People say that this is just a genre blending screenplay and it has so many great social issues, great comedy. My goodness, this is just seems like a snack of a movie, and maybe it can get in there for screenplay a la A Separation from Oscar Ferrati. 6 is The Report. Fair and Balanced. Knives Out, the Rian Johnson movie. Looks like a really compelling mystery comedy. Kind of an outside shot there. The Lighthouse and The Laundromat. Adapted screenplay. I have Little Women out front. The Goldfinch. The Irishman. Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Personal History of David Copperfield. This is a satire from... And this man has been nominated for a screenplay award in the past, and this could be like a bigger overall Oscar contender than his previous 2 films, which were both in the conversation for screenplay. 6 is Jojo Rabbit. Again, I'm just a little more skeptical than others about this. Screenplay is one of the more likely categories for it, for sure. Just Mercy is 7, and Ford v Ferrari, Toy Story 4, and the Todd Haynes project, still unnamed. Cinematography is 1917 is out front. 1917 is winning cinematography. This is a lock. This is happening. Deakins is doing a one-take movie and he's winning a second Oscar. Even though he already has an Oscar, he's still overdue for a second Oscar. You have to be a fool to think that this movie's not winning cinematography. The Lighthouse is number 2 because that black and white, squarish aspect ratio. I mean, look at the trailer. That was just visually sumptuous. The cinematography branch is going to eat that up. These people nominated Cold War, and they nominate black and white movies all the time. The Goldfinch. Deakins is going to get double nominated this year. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. The Irishman. Then we have Harriet, Little Women, Ad Astra, Ford v Ferrari. Best Editing. Ford v Ferrari out front, even though it's not on my picture top 10, because it's a racing movie, folks, and it's going to have lots of showy editing. Irishman, Little Women, just because they're huge juggernauts. Queen and Slim number 4 because that movie just looks stylish and energetic in a way that I couldn't imagine the editing would be standard. I imagine that this movie's going to have some cool, stylish editing. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Harriet, The Goldfinch, Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, Marriage Story, and 1917 is at the bottom. Folks, don't make the mistake of having 1917 on your editing list. You will see it in the top 5 on Gold Derby, in fact. And guess what? It's not going to happen. It's a one-take movie. Look what happened with Birdman. Didn't get nominated. Roma didn't get nominated because of long takes, okay? Don't listen to the people who say that it's getting nominated for editing. They don't know what they're saying. Production design, Cats is number 1. Big ass sets. I don't know what else you need to say about it. All of Tom Hooper's last 3 movies have been nominated in this category, and the production design of this movie looks insane. Say what you will about everything else, the production design is insane. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, number 2, that recreation of 1969 LA and those big old movie sets is gonna get this movie a nomination. 1917 is 3. War movies get nominated for production design a lot. They're gonna have to build these sets in which the camera can track for long periods of time, is just gonna get this movie in there. It's a lock. Little Women's number 4. Harriet is number 5. Aladdin is number 6. You're gonna see Aladdin in a couple more categories. It is a contender in certain technicals. Generally, audiences were pretty pleased with it, so it's not like Dumbo, because Dumbo is out for these categories because it didn't do well at the box office and audiences didn't like it. But Aladdin could get a couple nominations, a la Beauty and the Beast or Cinderella. The Irishman is an outside shot for production design. Personal history of David Copperfield. Dumbo have on here just because. And then Ford v Ferrari. Costume design. Probably going to look pretty similar. I couldn't find a movie that I thought would win. I said, you know what? Maybe Aladdin can win here. Maybe Aladdin wins costumes. Because it's got like an interesting meld of cultures. It's colorful as fuck. Didn't see the movie, saw the trailer. It's all I need to know. It's colorful as fuck and has cool looking costumes, and it can probably win. If nothing else is showier, which looks to be the case. Little Women has costumes. Harriet has costumes. Rocket Man still might be there in there for costumes. Personal history of David Copperfield looks like it has costumes. 1917 could get costumes, but war movies often get like production design and then don't get costumes, so that's why it's kind of on the outside here. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, again, they like stuff that's more lavish and even more period, although maybe this could get nominated sort of like Inherent Vice or something. Dolomite Is My Name looks like it has some wacky costumes, so that's on here. Best score, 1917, out front, once again, because it's being done by Thomas Newman. The music from the trailer sounded intense and excellent. Guess what? This man has 14 nominations and no wins. He is Roger Deakins before Roger Deakins won. And this is going to be the movie that gets him an Oscar, I think. 14 nominations, no wins. Give Thomas Newman an Oscar. Little Women is being done by Alexander Desplat. Need you say more? Queen and Slim is number 3 because it is being done by Blood Orange, aka Devontae Hines, acclaimed psych R&B, I guess you might call it, producer, composer, and I believe that the music that you hear in the last third of the trailer is the original music, and if that is the case, I am freaking excited. I tried to Shazam it, it didn't come up. It's probably the original score, and if that's the case, then you're in for a hell of a score, and therefore I think it can get a nomination. Forage is Marriage Story, which is being done by Randy Newman. This is on here because I read that the opening of this movie is this 7-minute montage set to Randy Newman's vibrant score, according to an IndieWire article. That's enough for me to say that this is getting nominated, actually. Terrence Blanchard is scoring Harriet, Ad Astra from Max Richter, which I would like to say is on the top 5, but like Mary Queen of Scots, just because Max Richter is doing the score doesn't mean it's always like his best work. Although, from the trailer, it sounded really good, and I'm excited to hear it. Ford v Ferrari, Star Wars, the last 2 got nominated. The Last Jedi was a big surprise to me that it got nominated. Are they going to really nominate him a 3rd time for the same franchise? Like, I just don't think so. Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, and Us. Us is only on here for this category because that's maybe the only one it has a shot in. Sound editing. Another win for 1917. This one is also obvious, folks. If you don't have this movie winning sound, you've got cotton in your ears. Ford v Ferrari, Ad Astra, Star Wars, The Rise of Luke Skywalker. These are actually your top 4 for sound mixing and sound editing. Easily your top 4. For 5 in sound editing, I have Harriet. I'm not really sure about that one, but I guess it has some war scenes. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Irishman, and Endgame. I am not convinced that Endgame is a sound contender because the sound is not actually that good. Just because it is the finale, maybe one of the best MCU movies, doesn't mean that they not need to nominate the sound. It's not actually worth recognizing. Sound mixing, same top 4. And then we have Rocket Man for number 5 because it is the only, music type movie here. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is number 6. I noticed that had good sound mixing when I saw it. Cats, Harriet, Irishman, and Avengers Endgame. Visual effects, Lion King is out front. A lot of controversy surrounding, like, if it was a good idea to make the movie and to present it in this way, but nobody can deny that this movie has the most groundbreaking visual effects of the year. Completely blurs the lines between animation and live action, so I think that it can easily win visual effects here. The Irishman is number 2 because the de-aging looks like it will probably be impressive, although I'm a little skeptical from the trailer. Ad Astra is number 3 because that's just the space movie this year. That's the first man contender. There's always a space movie. There's always a sci-fi movie. Avengers Endgame is number 4 because that's just going to happen. 5 is also Star Wars because it's just going to happen. Detective Pikachu is number 6. You might think that's silly, but wait till you see this movie on the fucking shortlist. I have an intuition that this movie will show up on that shortlist, and it could even sneak in there for a nomination. Think about Christopher Robin. And this movie actually got a lot of compliments about the visual effects. People thought the visual effects were really well done. So don't be surprised Detective Pikachu is nominated for visual effects. 7 is Aladdin. Gemini Man also has the de-aging, but The Irishman will probably beat it on that front. Cats, the visual effects look really good, but they are also the main controversy. And Captain Marvel. It's probably not going to happen just because you got Endgame, you got Star Wars. It's not gonna fit up there. Original song. It's hard to know what songs are actually attached to which movies at this point, but Beyonce's winning. That's all we can say. Even though people don't even care that much about this song that she did, she's still winning an Oscar just for being Beyonce. Animated feature. Toy Story 4 is obviously going to win. Frozen 2 is number 2, but it's just not going to be better than Toy Story 4. Shaun the Sheep, Farmageddon, number 3, because Shaun the Sheep 1 got nominated, and this category is actually kind of weak. How to Train Your Dragon, The Hidden World is also on here, and then we're kind of fishing, here for movies to nominate. Abominable. We're just going to have that as the number 5 slot for now. It doesn't look like trash, and we don't see any evidence of any foreign shit competing in this category. Finally, international feature. Parasite going to win. Parasite is going to win foreign film because it's just going to be the most liked, most talked about foreign film of the year. Number 2 is Pain and Glory because it will probably get Best Actor and because it's Pedro Almodovar. Portrait of a Lady on Fire is also on here. That's just that Cannes art house epic foreign movie that's getting that nomination. Emma looks like it might be a contender because Pablo Larraín directed it. And 5, we don't fucking know yet. We just don't fucking know. And that is the rundown of all my predictions, folks. Hope you enjoy the video. This could turn into kind of a monthly thing. You see where I'm updating my predictions. And I hope that your day is as great as the upcoming Oscar season will be. So thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Comment below with your Best Picture Top 10. I'll see you at the Oscars.